coming up, Willie Jackson. As I said, Willie, JT and I, 10 years ago, I was just thinking it would be 10 years ago now, we're all hosts on Radio Live, now defunct, but we used to have a lot of fun. We always used to criticise each other. And and the Brown brothers would never have had a show if they weren't reacting to something that I'd said in the previous 3 hours. Well, I outraged them on a daily basis. Well, joining us to see if he's still outraged. And it's a great pleasure to have him on the show. That's Willie Jackson. Willie, welcome to the show, mate. Nice to have you on.
How are you, mate? I was just having a little laugh about what you were saying, and those were great days. I thought those were great days.
Well, you were so lazy, Willie. If I hadn't have said something outrageous in the 3 hours beforehand, you guys didn't have a show.
I think about it. I thought those were some of the best days of radio, mate, and. Anyway, good to talk with you. I mean, and congratulations on your new show. I'm really glad, seriously, I'm really glad that you're back on radio. I think guys like you should be on radio. So it's a bit tricky to get this platform stuff. I don't mind it because I hear some of the highlights, but I did want to congratulate you on being back on radio, and just good to talk with you. How's your family? How's everything?
Oh, well, we're okay. I'm living in Central Otago now, and it's a different culture down here, mate. Very safe, there's no bloody Maori politicians hanging around the show trying to seduce them.
No. I was thinking, we probably haven't seen each other for 10 years, have we?
That'd be right. We're overdue for a beer. And you'll have a lot more time on your hands in about 5 weeks, so you should be able to be fine.
Well, you never know. I tell you what, mate, I've been busy this week because, you probably don't know, but this is Māori Language Week.
I do know that. I was just complaining about it.
Te wiki o te reo Māori. So I've been just... one of the things I did, which caused a bit of controversy amongst some of our fundamentalists, was I appointed Jennifer Ward-Leland to the Māori Language Commission Board, Michael, and she is a terrific woman. She's got fluent in the language. Some of our fundamentalists, they didn't like that, and they were having a bit of a crack at me. And I said, well, I've got a lot of people who'll support it, and if we want 1 million Māori language speakers by 2040, we can't do it on our own. So she actually takes up that appointment this Friday in Wellington. I'm going to.
Is it controversial because she's Pākehā?
Yeah, absolutely. And I, unlike them, want to work in tandem with Pākehā in terms of the language. So we can't say it's just a language for everyone, and then stop some Pākehā coming on the National Māori Language Board who's made a commitment to our language, mate, and made a commitment to our culture. And so I got a little bit irritated with some of them, but they backed off, and they understand. I said, what we just want to speak to ourselves. Go to France, and you've got people speaking, from every ethnicity. They all speak French. It's not just the French, Go to Spain, go wherever, and we're trying to push for one of the goals is to try and get 1 million language speakers by 2040, not fluent nat speakers, say, like Scotty Morrison, who's on TV every day, just people who could say a few words. I reckon you can say a few words, but you just probably refuse to.
No, that's true. That's absolutely right, just as a matter of principle. I mean, I went to a boarding school, mate. 50% of them were Maori dudes from up the Wanganui River. Of course I learned the language.
I know.
I know every Maori swear word.
I know, and you wrote Normie Hewitt's book too, and so you'd be obstinate,
Yeah, that's true.
You'd be a bloody good advocate, actually.
Oh, well, yeah, well, we'll see. Hey, listen, mate, can I just talk to you first of all about broadcasting?
Yeah.
You are the Minister of I can't believe they made you Minister of Broadcasting. They must have looked around and said, well, nobody else has been on TV or radio like Willie, we'll give you the job. Is that how you got it?
I got it because, as you well know, I was a pretty respected broadcaster, not from yourself, of course, not by yourself, of course. But I didn't have a bad sort of broadcasting career. You know, I had 3 TV shows on, and 2 of them on mainstream, and 1 on Māori TV, and a lot of background in Māori broadcasting. So I was pleased. I mean, I've only had it for probably less than a year, but I think we got a bit done. You know, we whacked in a new TVNZ board and a new RNZ board, and chucked some big funding to Sean Plunket's horror towards Radio New Zealand, 25 million, and we got this digital bargaining bill up. So you know, we got a bit done in about 18 months. I think it was about 10 months, mate. Yeah.
Okay. The Public Interest Journalism Fund. Okay.
Yeah.
Now. That was a sort of a bailout of a whole series of. Initially, it was because the thought was they were all going to, you know, hit the wall basically, but they didn't. That funding's run out. Do you anticipate if Labor were re-elected, there would be a repeat of public funding going into those agencies or those news media organisations again?
I don't think there'll be a need for that, because with the merger, we've given extra funding back to New Zealand On Air, and I think that'll be able to cover a lot of things. And I'm hoping with this digital bargaining bill, if we get this through, if we're back in government, that you know, we're going to have a bit of money coming back from some of the from the big deals. I mean, you know the story. Your local papers, your local media outlets have all been shut down, or if they haven't been shut down, they've lost half the journalists since these big entities like Meta and Google have come onto the scene, and they've basically taken the news as it suited them, paid nothing back to the little guy, whether it's I don't know what your paper is down there, but you know, it might be the Southland Times or Wanganui Chronicle or whatever it is. They've got nothing back. So we were told that, you know, these guys are taking so much, making so much profit that they could inject a lot of money back into the local industry. So I don't think that the government should have to do that again. I've got no, I know there are questions from a lot of your crew in terms of that public interest journalism fund, particularly from Sean Plunket, I think, who was, I think he came out with this line that one of the things was that you had to pledge your loyalty to the treaty or some blinking thing in terms of the public interest journalism fund. I don't think you'll see any repeat of that going forward.
Okay. All right. Now, segues quite nicely, Willie, into co-governance, because that's really been... I was just saying, it's really happened over the last 3 years, and I guess Winston Peters, we had him on the show earlier, talking about that you're not Indigenous, Willie.
I thought I was listening to Blink and Winston Laws there for a while.
Well, you see, well, there you are, you know, you thought you're Indigenous and you're not, so obviously, you know, that's the end of it. No, he was very much the handbrake on you between 2017 and 2020, I mean you, the Labor government. Those handbrakes went off, obviously, when he departed the scene, and Jacinda and yourself and the rest of the crew got 50% of the vote at the last election. Co-governance is something that has deeply unsettled a lot of New Zealanders, Willie. Would you accept that?
Oh, I think so. I think it's a good point. I think it's because it's been misrepresented by people like Winston. Can I first of all say, mate, that it was a pleasure to work with the bloke between 20, despite all the crazy stuff that's been said in the last few weeks, and no doubt some more crazy stuff in the weeks coming up. It was actually really... I found it really good working with Winston between 2017 and 2020. He put the handbrake on a few things. Yeah, well, he put the handbrake on Ahumata. He put the handbrake on procurement. But he supported a lot of things too, Michael. He supported a lot of investment into Māori business in terms of Māori funding. We put a lot of funding in terms of marae there. We increased funding for whānau water. He's quite as you know better than anyone, having worked very closely with him, he's an enigma. You know, he's a walking contradiction, Winston, right?
Yeah.
You know, he'll say some crazy stuff, and next minute he's leading 7 Māoris into the Māori seats and taking all the Māori seats away from Labour. He's this huge contradiction. But back to your question, I think it's a fair question, and I think it's and it's a reasonable point that the co-governance kaupapa or initiative has nerved a lot of New Zealanders, made a lot of people nervous because maybe we were a bit slow, Michael, initially in terms of our explanations with regards to it.